a special guest Fire TV and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question? Our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome.
What's up, Daryl?
What's up, man?
Not much, man.
Another day in the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Man, this weather is going to get us out of control, man. We got hot, cold, rainy, snowy. I mean, it's been all over the place, man.
That's Memphis for you.
So we need to give out some shout-outs, Jerome.
Okay.
It's been a little while since we've been back, so we need to give some shout-outs to California, California. Give some shout-outs to West Memphis, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay. Then come on back down the line.
Come on down the line to West Memphis, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Give some shout outs to Memphis, Shelby County. Give some shout outs to Mississippi.
Yeah.
Give some shout outs to Missouri.
That's right.
Special shout out to my wife. Special shout out to my mother. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching the show.
You're not going to forever forget that again.
You ain't going to forget that. Look, if you got Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, or the SVP TV network app, you can call in and ask live questions. And it don't matter what topic we're talking about.
Right,
we'll answer any questions that you have, regardless of the topic. So today, we're going to get back to where we left off at. Well, we had a week when we start talking about expungement.
That's right.
Clean up criminal records. But now we want to go back to bankruptcy because we interrupted that. So we finished talking. We were talking about bankruptcy, Jerome.
Yes. Bankruptcy is so vast and its reach is so powerful. As I started this the last time there, that its reach is really unlimited because a person could actually own property overseas, and it would be impacted by a bankruptcy here locally because of the breadth and width of bankruptcy law. And so, and also there are a lot of myths surrounding bankruptcy. You tried to clear it up several times when you said that the leader of the free world has used bankruptcy.
Hey.
Not one time, but multiple times.
2 or 3 times,
That's exactly right.
And he tells everybody he's a multi-billionaire, not a billionaire, a multi-billionaire.
That's right.
So if a multi-billionaire feels that it's, they can or they need, or there's a scenario they wanted to get to refresh or fresh start their scenario, why wouldn't the everyday Joe feel they can do that?
And Daryl, I'm so glad that you carefully spoke that, because it's not a callous thing.
Right. No.
It's not something that you just freely, willy-nilly do. It's a tool, and like any other tool, it has uses.
Right.
It's like when you come to a job with your tool belt, all of your tools are separated into different categories. And so bankruptcy is just another one of those tools.
Yeah.
And what it does is it restarts a person's efforts toward success.
Right.
Okay. And look, and this is a country that prides itself on businesses, acumen. They want us to be venturous. They want us to take advantage of situations, because what? The largest employer in the United States is what? Small businesses, aren't they? So sometimes people will...
Because there's so many of them.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So sometimes people take a risk, and they don't necessarily always come out the way that you want it to be. But we don't want that to stop you. In fact, we want you to carefully analyze what went wrong. We talked about it too, like restaurants are probably one of the the toughest things in order to get over the hump with in the there.
Yeah, but Jerome, let's back up just a minute.
Okay.
A question that somebody brought was,
Okay.
Somebody had a question.
Okay.
That if they are in bankruptcy or have filed bankruptcy, can they buy or acquire a house?
Well, that's the reason why I took this route to get there, about how success operates, how it's not callous, and how it is a tool to use. Because in America, in a capitalistic society, there's always the givers and what? And the takers. Always, okay.
Always.
It's always going to be somebody acting like piranhas, feeding on people when they make mistakes. So if you were to get involved in a matter where you're sued and there's threatening to take your house, take your car, to garnish your check. So the smart thing to do is to not let that happen. And so one of the tools we use in that situation is to file a bankruptcy.
Right.
Now there are several, and the reason why we know just by the fact that there are so many different ones, it tells you that we want you to access it. That's the chapter 7, chapter 11, chapter 12, chapter 13, and chapter 9. That's 5 different ones. And it may even be some that I'm not even aware of. You follow me? Because we want you to access them. So the 7 is what we call a liquidation. The 13 is what we call, a lot of people call it the wage earner or other things, but it's a bankruptcy as well. And then the 11 is for businesses, so a business can reorganize and stay in business. The 12 is for farmers. Farmers use that. Now, all that flooding that we got in California is certainly going to impact farmers. So let me get to your question. All right, so what happens is when a person gets in a financial bind, and they're in a bind when they come in, but that's the smartest thing ever. When you reach your point, and we tell them, and you and I both tell them the same thing, do all you can first, and when you realize I can't do anything else, then it's time to reach out to a professional.
Right.
Okay. So you may need a chapter 7 because you do not have a lot of assets. Okay. So you can come in this one morning at 8 a.m. and by 10 a.m. you can dry your tears. Because it's done, it's complete. Because electronic filing allows us to do that right in the office.
Right now.
We hit the button. And then, and a good practitioner always has a hand on the button.
Has it right there. Right there. Gonna make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the chapter 7 is a tool that's used to completely give you a brand new start. Okay? It's as if it never happened.
Correct.
You look forward and you don't look back. But the really sophisticated individual who's trying to preserve what they've already have accomplished, they use a chapter 13 so they can save their things that they've been working on. So the question is, now I'm ready for your question now. All right, so can I incur, that's what we call it, additional debt? I don't know, maybe. Let's take a look and see. Okay, so when you first come in and do...
And this is under 13, though.
Under 13, yeah.
Under 13.
When you first come in and you do a bankruptcy case because you're trying to stop some action against you to take away your property, you do a chapter 13 and you automatically get the automatic stay. That means everybody cools down.
Everybody on hold. Everybody on hold.
Right. And so, and then you and your professional attorney takes a look at your situation. Excuse me. By looking at your I, Schedule I is income, and Schedule J is expenses. So when you do your bankruptcy case, we put down your income to see what it is that you can afford to pay back in your bankruptcy case. That's your income. And then your Schedule J. So normally we try and not have as much exposure to your income by showing that I can handle what my obligations currently are, but no more. All right. However, if I'm been living in an apartment and my rent is $800-900, and then all of a sudden I'm introduced to a program that maybe I can buy a home for $600 or $700. It just makes sense,
Right.
doesn't it?
Right.
So what you do is you go to your attorney, even though you're in a bankruptcy case. Now, we don't want you to have just filed a bankruptcy and then go out and get
Right. Because you're not incurring additional debt.
yeah, because you haven't demonstrated. Because you demonstrated one, first of all, that you're not good at finances.
Right.
Right. You follow what I'm saying?
Right. You demonstrated something, but I don't know if it's something you want everybody to see.
Right. You
Yeah.
demonstrated that you need some help with your financial situation.
Right.
But it's required that you have financial counseling before you can file a bankruptcy. They make you come up with a budget. They make you start putting a name on every dollar that comes into your household. All right. And then, so after about 2 years in your Chapter 13, you've demonstrated a constant stream of making payments timely,
Right.
which is what a realtor wants to see.
Right.
That a person is making timely payments. Because many times the real estate person will call and say, can you send me a copy of their payments to show that they've been making timely payments? The lender, yes, the lender will call and say, can you send me a copy of this person's payment? They claim that they've been making their payments on time. And so always when the best evidence rule says what? If it's written. If it's written out and it's competent information, you can count on it. So, and then what happens is we look at the amount of the home. We certainly don't want to put someone in a home where they're going to not be successful. But then you can file a motion to incur additional debt.
Okay.
All right? That's how it's done. So I always tell my clients to go out. I've done it many times. And you're talking with your real estate agent, and the real estate agent has lenders that they work with all the time. So we know what their requirements are. You go out and you find a property that you're interested in, and then you are able to maybe make an offer for the property. And when you come back to the lawyer's office, you bring a copy of what we call a buyer's order, or what they write up. They write up information about what it's going to cost, what the monthly payments are, and then you present it to the court. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think so. The problem is twofold, though, Jerome. And the short answer is, you said maybe, and that's predicated on what kind of debt you're going to try to add.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people say, well, I pay rent, and I pay rent for an apartment, and my apartment is $800, $900, $1,000 a month. I can get this house, and my rent is going to be $700 a month.
That's right.
So I will be able to save $300 additional for my bankruptcy, or $300 that I can put to something else in my bankruptcy.
That's exactly right.
But the problem is, it's not that automatic switching of funds, because what you have incurred is this larger debt. Because when you buy a home, they're financing. The home is $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000.
Okay.
So you're incurring $100,000 debt onto the bankruptcy. Your payments are only going to be $700, $800.
Right.
But the debt that's been incurred is $100,000.
Right.
So the question has to be is whether or not the court can see whether or not your scenario will be able to allow you to incur this additional $100,000.
Sure, because remember, you're not trying to pay it off any sooner than the loan. Most loans are 30-year loans. So when you come out of the Chapter 13, you'll still have that debt. But even if you don't go into 13, you still got that rent debt. You follow me? So on the back end, it looks like there is an additional $100,000 that's out there. But it would be the same thing if you didn't own a home.
Right.
But there, remember back in 2020, behind the pandemic in March of 2020, the government itself spent billions of dollars to keep people in their homes.
Right.
So that's how important it is for us to have homeowners. Homeowners.
Well, they didn't spend billions of dollars to keep you in your home. They spent billions of dollars to keep a roof over your head, whether that been an apartment, whether that been in a home.
They had a special program for each one of them.
Oh, see, I didn't realize they had a special one for
Oh
homes.
yeah. Homeowners are never treated the same.
Right.
You can't even do a foreclosure. You can't even do a foreclosure on a person who has a home the same way you can do with a tenant. It's different rules when you go to joint sessions court.
Yeah, you mean FED on
Right, FED, yeah.
yeah,
You see, because what? We protect homeowners differently than
Right.
we do renters.
Right.
So there was a whole, because remember, all of the lenders, FHA, I can't think of all of them right now. We need Angel to tell us all this.
Yeah.
Then all of them were put on hold.
Right.
You can't even start a foreclosure process.
Right.
That wasn't the same thing with renters until later on.
Right.
And so it's important that we put people into homes because we want families to be in homes. So, and it's even simpler to buy a home following a Chapter 7.
Now, Chapter 7 is night and day.
Yeah, you can buy a home in 2 years after you file a Chapter 7.
Actually, buy a home the next day after Chapter 7 because there's no bankruptcy any longer.
That's exactly right.
And and it's really the only reason why it's 2 years. You saying 2 years is because you're trying to make sure the interest rate that you don't get hit with the interest rate. Because if you buy a home right after you come out of Chapter 7, they're going to hit you with a high interest rate because you're a risk.
Well, I'm not. I always go by what I've heard from realtors.
Mm-hmm.
I hear realtors tell people that you can buy a home in a Chapter 7 after 2 years. And I don't know what that is to make sure that
you can buy that mug tomorrow if you can find somebody that's going to finance you.
Well, who's going to do it? You just came out of a 7 because you just said the
well,
interest rate is going to be
they
high,
are going
right?
to do it.
Yeah.
They're just going to hit you with a high interest rate.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you will have to, after you had that high interest rate for 2 years,
Right.
you refinance.
Refinance and get a lower rate.
Because really what they'll do, and they won't even do a high interest rate. They'll do an adjustable mortgage on them.
Which is detrimental.
Oh, no, it's absolutely detrimental. Chapter 7.
A 7. You can buy a home 2 years after you Dare say it takes 2.
You can buy that mug. You got to find somebody that's going to finance it, though. That's the point. Yeah. And you're right. Probably the likelihood of a lender wanting to finance
They do it all the time.
But look.
I mean, reputable lenders.
Think about it from
because
this perspective.
You don't have them on debt.
Exactly. Think about it this. You get out of Chapter 7.
Right.
You had a total liquidation.
That's right.
You owe nobody.
That's right.
And now you have
Well, that's too broad. Because you still got your car note.
Well, we may not.
Unless you surrender it.
You may have.
But how can you surrender a car here in Memphis, Tennessee with the transportation the way it is?
See, you making I consider, again, I know people because I represented them that did bankruptcies Chapter 7.
And just surrendered everything.
Surrendered everything.
You can do that.
And got new stuff the next day.
You can do that.
I'm here to tell you.
You absolutely can do that.
I have not had, and the reason why I say that you can get a house within the next day is not that I've witnessed that.
Right.
Because I know you can get a car the next day.
You can do it. In fact, you can do it while you're still in the Chapter 7.
And the reason behind that, which is logical, you can't do it again for another 6 years?
8 years.
So you can't do another Chapter 7 for another 8 years.
That's
so
exactly
I got you locked in.
Well, be careful too. By saying you can't do another, you can't get another discharge.
You can't, exactly. You can't get another discharge.
Right,
you can do it.
That's right. You can do it.
It ain't gonna get discharged.
You can do as many as you want to do. But when you get a discharge, and a discharge means that all that debt goes away.
Yeah, and so when you come out of that Chapter 7, you got ready cash now. So before you were like this. There were more pennies than you had.
You're absolutely right.
And when you finish at Chapter 7, you have no debt.
That's right. And all of the money that you were paying on all this stuff has now been accumulated, and you can stash it away. You come out with a nice little stash.
Yeah. So, and that's the point. So when you finish, people know. They say, well, hey, you filed a Chapter 7. Because I'm going to tell you, I had clients say to me, man, I ain't even finished, and I'm getting all these
Well, that's
applications,
the same,
credit cards.
the same day almost, you start getting all these offers.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody knows
Right.
that, you can't do it again. So, and Angel was right, the likelihood of a lender loaning you money to buy a house the day after is not good.
Right.
But they can if you can find the right lender.
No, but that's true.
Yeah.
But also too, again, it depends. United Housing is another source. There's a program that John, I can't think of his last name right now. John Hope Franklin. You ever heard of him? John Hope Franklin has Hope Credit Union, Hope some other things that he is also working to try and build wealth. And also there, let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, hold on a second.
Okay.
Let me answer this question.
Okay.
And then so the question was, is it best to wait until the bankruptcy is discharged before you try to buy a house? And I think the answer to that question is probably yes.
It depends on which one we're talking about now, Darryl. Remember, the 13 lasts 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, 60 months. So I'm waiting 5 years?
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
But I don't want to do that. I want to go ahead and get into my home.
You do.
In the chapter 13 within 2 years or 3 years.
You do. But the point of the matter is, the reason why I believe it's best to wait till discharge, even with a chapter 13. And here's the whole reason. You in a ride. That's why you're in 13.
That's right.
You went on a ride.
Right.
And your debt was so much that it took you 72 months or 60 months.
You got to remember again. We're not assuming it's because you got debt like that. We're assuming that something unfortunate has happened. You follow what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah, I get it all.
You've had an automobile accident where the person who tore your car up didn't have insurance.
Sure.
So your $28,000 car is wrecked,
right,
and your insurance didn't cover it.
They didn't have insurance.
That's what I'm saying.
You didn't have insurance.
You didn't,
because
you didn't have any either. That's true.
Exactly. Because and if you had a $28,000, you don't have insurance. You need to go back into bankruptcy because you need to have your head examined. Because I don't pull no punches when you stuck on stupid. If you got an expensive car and you don't have an insurance, you stupid. And Jerome gonna say,
I'm not gonna say I won't.
Man, you could be better than that.
I'm not saying
I ain't better than that
I'm not
because
saying that.
I know everybody in Memphis don't have no insurance.
I'm not saying that.
So I'm gonna have, if I got a $28,000 car, I'm gonna have insurance, I'm gonna have gap coverage, I'm gonna have every little nanny and crabby I can have.
But then remember, there are some people who don't have the ability.
Then why do you have a $28,000 car?
Because the lender let me drive it off the lot.
Well, then you and the lender, that's why you're in bankruptcy. Because the lender is stupid for loaning you that kind of money and you ain't got it. And then, I'm going to say it, you stupid for buying a car and not having insurance. I just don't, look. Now you always, and this is where you and I always go awry. Man, you got 50 million excuses for stupid. Must be out here doing stupid. I mean, it's stupid. And you be like, Daryl, don't say that, Daryl. Take it easy on them.
You got to remember, we are advocates.
We are.
So we don't necessarily care how you got in the situation. It's my job to help you get out of it.
And I agree.
And so that's
if I'm advocating, I ain't calling you stupid then. I'm calling you, I ain't advocating right now, I'm calling you stupid now because I ain't advocating. But if I'm advocating for you, no, we not gonna, I don't make no judgments. When we advocate, I don't make judgments on advocating.
But Daryl, the people, our audience, hear you say that.
I want you to hear that because I want you to not do it. I want you to know that even though I got that poker face when you come to my office, even though I don't make any judgment calls,
right.
I done already told you stupid. So I don't have to make no faces. I don't have to say no little snide remarks because I'm not going to do that.
Well, I'm not of that school. my school says that people are human.
Sure.
People make mistakes.
Sure.
Some mistakes are so glaring, which is what you're saying now. You shouldn't have never made that. That was so dumb. You shouldn't have never made that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that all is forgiven when you come in and you seek professional help.
Yeah.
We make no judgments. Even in criminal law, we don't care how many folk you shot up before you got to the office.
Right. That ain't my concern.
And we can't even reveal it if we knew.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
and so I take that same position too in consumer law.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I get that.
Okay.
You know, again, it's not my job. Again, I'm not that person. I'm not your judge.
Right.
I'm not the person that's gonna, condemn you. You know, but the problem, is we're having a real conversation with people.
Right.
Okay, and we're human, just like just like all these other people. So we're having this real conversation. You have to tell them that this doesn't make sense.
Well, that's the Coming to Jesus meeting.
Yeah, this does not make
And we
sense.
have them all the time. with
Yeah.
clients,
You know, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. And what we end up doing here, Jerome, is we will go so far left to make excuses for people that do things that they know are wrong. They know it's, dude, you come out here and you shoot somebody because you're trying to steal their car. And then I kill you, right? Because when that, because you tried it, that's me, and I kill you, then now, and you 15 years old.
You're going to be charged.
No.
You're going to be charged.
Yeah, but that's not my concern.
But you're not concerned about that, okay.
I promise you that ain't my concern.
Okay.
But what my concern, but the everyday Joe that said that this grown man shot a 15-year-old child,
Right.
don't realize that child had a gun on me and was going to shoot me and was trying to take my car, and all I did was defend myself. We want to be sympathetic.
That's another show.
Hey, that's another show. It's definitely another show. We want to be sympathetic,
Right.
for stupid mistakes,
Right.
but we're not going to be sympathetic to the impact or the problem that it caused on somebody else. For instance, and that was and we'll have to chop this up again.
Okay.
We almost out of time. But,
Okay.
But that's the whole reason. That was the reason why they changed the law in bankruptcy, because the sevens were really getting a lot of people out of the game, and they were really going rampant with it. And
That's not why they changed.
well,
it.
that's part of it.
That's because the credit card people had more lobbyists in
Exactly.
Congress than the poor